Quote of the week: adversity introduces you to yourself. Hi, I'm Jason Barlow, RMT, and I'm here today as your therapist and coach to help you transform your stress, tension, and pain, which just doesn't feel good, into health, happiness, and vitality. Adversity. We all face it. We all have to learn how to confront. And unless we take the time to train our mind particularly, then when it comes along, do we actually realize who we really are? So think back. What are some of the greatest obstacles and the greatest challenges that you faced, and how did you face them? I know myself, as an athlete growing up in the UK, that adversity was just part and parcel, right, of training, the coaches, their expectations, their challenges, the interactions between you as one team to another team, from individual to individual. That was just something that I grew with and observed how elite competitors would deal with that. And for me, my number one guy that I would admonish and bow to was Michael Jordan. I studied him extensively, how he moved, how he would think, how he would just deal with competitive situations, and particularly when things weren't going his way, how would he respond to that? And it would, obviously, as we know, Michael Jordan has achieved many great things in his lifetime, and we know how he turned that on and turned it inside his mind to change and improve his situation. So we've got to learn to embrace adversity because it's inevitable in life. Everything I'd learned as an athlete, I took into my business, and then I certainly took into application of being a father, a husband, and a father. There are many adversities that we have to deal with on various scales throughout our life. And just when we think that we've learned to navigate and deal with the greatest challenges of our life, very often the biggest ones are yet to come. All those little stepping stones before that were just training grounds for us to be prepared for the big one or biggest ones that come our way. Here's something I just thought about today. Isn't it interesting that if there was a trauma situation and we call the police or the fire department or the paramedics, we would typically label them as what? A first responder. A first responder is somebody who's highly skilled and highly trained with experience that comes on scene to deal with a traumatic situation. And through their training, they know how to deal with, and as a team, they have it set up in such a way that they, as swiftly as they can, help those people out and get them from the trauma situation into a hospital setting if need be, and remove them from any further danger. They're not labeled as a first reactor. If you think of a first reactor, it's somebody who's never seen that before, and they're just reacting to that momentary event that's just taking place. I don't know if we quite want those people on scene at an emergency situation. A first responder is something, or somebody that we would welcome to the situation. A first reactor, not so much. So where I'm going with this is that when we have adversity in life and the cycles of this, right, it's not how we choose. It's not what happens to us. It's how we choose to respond. It's not what happens to us. It's how we choose to respond. And very often what we're doing is bad stuff happens, adversity comes our way, challenges and obstacles, and they present themselves as situations and as people. And very often we react. The best way to learn how to respond better to those challenges and people is to train our mind. Because otherwise what we're doing is we're reacting in accordance with our current mental habits. So if we get irritated quite easily, if we get frustrated, if we're quick to boil and we're quick to anger, then that is typically what's going to culminate when adversity comes our way and we have not taken the time to train our minds so we instead respond. We just go back to our reaction, which that chain reaction leads to typically more problems for us because we struggle then with mental pain, and we're usually not too kind with the other person or situation. And especially if it's another person, we tend to make them want to suffer too. So we have to become our own first responder, is what I'm saying to adversity. How do we do that? We must learn how to train our mind. As Inky Johnson, has professed many a time, he implores people to focus on the process versus the product. Whatever it is you're trying to achieve with respect of your health goals, if all you're ever doing is focusing on the end result, when it comes, you might not be as satisfied as you perhaps anticipated. Why? Because you're so focused on the end result, you forgot all about the journey that gets you to the end result. And don't forget that journey that takes you from A to B, your end outcome, that is a recipe. That recipe is what Inky Johnson is referring to as the process. That's something you have learned how to prepare yourself and get yourself to the end result that you can then take from here, boom, as a recipe, and take it over here to the next goal that you wish to accomplish. The process is more important than the product. If we're only focusing on the end result, all the awards and the grandiose effects of what that actually means for us, then we're forgetting about the journey. And it's the journey that's even more important, because the journey is what prepares you. It trains you. It makes you into a first responder, so that when those challenges come your way again, you've learned from your past experiences during that journey process, and now you can put into effect once again the same process that you did before with some slight changes, right? The Green Berets have a wonderful slogan, which is, you must learn to improvise, adapt, and overcome. So when adversity introduces you to yourself, improvise at that time, try to be conscientious of your decisions that you're making, then make some adaptation that's going to help you as much as the other person and the overall situation, and then overcome it. The best way to prepare for those situations, though, is to take time when those situations aren't actually arising. That's why I'm a big advocate of meditation, particularly Buddhist meditation. Buddhist meditation is all about learning to train the mind so that when you're in challenging situations and circumstances and dealing with difficult people, what comes to your mind at that time is very different to how you may previously have thought. Typically in our mind, we have very strong, concrete minds that are irritable, anxious, and angry for the most part. Especially when things don't go our way. We get upset, right? We get upset, we create more drama. And that's carved in stone. And currently in our mind, those carvings in stone are what we go to. It's our habits, it's our reactions that we're talking about today. And the minds of patience and acceptance and love and compassion and wisdom, they're carved in water. So as soon as they come, they disappear, right? Think of trying to carve your name in some water. As soon as you start to trace your name, it's disappeared. We must learn how to change our minds so that we have more patience and tolerance and compassion and wisdom that are carved in stone. And those bad habits of mind that are not serving us in any capacity, especially when things don't go wrong, we must learn to carve those in water. Let them come and go. Let them come and let them go. And go instead to healthier minds that are actually going to, that truly, they are going to activate healing in your body and your mind. And as a result, you will respond much better to any adversity that comes your way. The last thing to leave you with is this thought. You ready? Adversity. It's the best thing that can happen to you. Why? Because it challenges you. It forces you to grow. It forces you to expand your mind, and it forces you to develop. Some people are most inspired from desperation. Les Brown calls it the inspiration of desperation. That they wait until the worst possible scenarios are playing out and they've complained and procrastinated and hesitated. Dr. John DeMartini says we will change in two ways. Either we make the conscious decision to make a change, or a cataclysmic event takes place in our life which compels and forces us to change at that time. Adversity reveals or introduces you to yourself. How are you going to respond? Thank you for joining me today. Jason Barlow, RMT. Go to my website, jasonbarlowrmt.com. You can download a free digital copy of my new book, The 15-Step Playbook for Pain Relief. If you prefer to have a paperback edition, you can go to Amazon, put in 15-step playbook for pain relief. In that book, I talk about mindsets. I focus particularly on that because I firmly believe as a health practitioner, we must start head first. Take a head plunge into dealing with any stress, tension, and pain that you're dealing with. I also then get into how to move your body in the best possible way, how to eat more suitably, and also how to rest and recover. From my website too, until December 24th this year, 2020, you need the coupon code SAVE50, that is SAVE50. If you go to my website and go to my shop, I have a great series of programs on there for different body parts and different ailments that you're struggling with potentially. And each one I focus on the top six steps, say that 3 times fast, to help you overcome that stress, tension, and pain, to transform into health, happiness, and vitality. That's only available until December 24th at 50% off. Act now. Go to my website, jasonbarlow.com/shop. And always remember, your muscle health is my #1 priority. Thank you for joining me.